Hi everybody, today I'm going to be working on this image here. This is by Camilla and it's from the first kind of Pop Manga Colouring Book. That one there, Pop Manga Colouring Book, Camilla And I've chosen this image here because of the bumblebee, which is my theme for the month, it's the bees. So I've chosen this image, and plus it's a nice big chunky image, which I think is what I'm going to be needing today because I've set myself a little bit of a challenge. Recently I've been having a bit of a spring clean, a bit of a deep clean of the living room, and I managed to come across my son's old art tin from when he was small. There we are there, if I can focus in on that. You can see what I'm going to be working with today. I found his old art tin. I'm going to be working with all the materials we've got available in this tin today, and I have absolutely no idea what's in there. Just to add to the little kind of layers of the challenge, I have no idea what's in there. It's not likely to be anything of very good quality, and these pens have been laying there for quite a while, so I'm guessing not many of them will actually be working, but if they are, I could maybe use them as a watercolour. Hopefully we won't get that speckled effect we were getting in the Cute and Creepy book, but that's something we could try. We do have some felt pens, we have some pencils, and we also have crayons in there. You can see there are crayons down the bottom of that box there. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is sort everything out, see what pens, pencils, crayons we do have, maybe get a bit of swatching done, and then work from there. So I'll sort out what we actually do have in the tin, and then I'll get back to you. Should be an interesting day. Okay, there we go. After sorting everything out, there's a few little broken bits and bobs still left in the bottom of the tin, but that I don't think I'd be able to get much use out of. This is what we've ended up with. Some of the pencils are really tiny, sharpened at both ends. Some of the crayons are a little bit melted for some reason, but this is what we've ended up with. There was also a few bits of Lego and a marble, but I don't think we'll be able to use those in our picture somehow. I'm going to stick with the actual art supplies. Looking at it as a quick overview now, this is the first time that I've seen everything that was in the tin as well. I'm not entirely sure what kind of skin tone we're going to be giving this girl, but I'm quite hopeful there's quite a few pencils, and fingers crossed that a few of those markers, those pens, will actually be working. I'll be able to dilute those and use them as watercolour with a bit of luck. Give them a bit of pencil shading, and I have got these crayons I'll try and bring in as well. I think first of all now, next step would be to test these pens, see which ones of those actually still work, which I might be able to bring in and actually use. I'll maybe bring in a couple of tubs to separate out these crayons and these pencils, get myself a little bit sorted here, and I'll catch up with you when I'm done with that. Alright, I've tested out all those pens now. I've thrown away all the ones that don't work, and we have ended up with these ones, which I think are the ones that are most likely to work enough to give me a little bit of a base going on with the picture. So what we need to do now, I think, is to maybe think of a colour scheme based on these pens, because that's what we're going to be using to give the base for the colour scheme, I think, and then work on top with the pencils, maybe the crayons. So I'll grab a plate to scribble on to use as a palette for these pens. I'll bring in the picture and we'll see what we can get started with that. Okay, I'm back, and I've actually grabbed a palette here to be mixing my pens onto. I think this is the one I got for my pound shop challenge, so it seems kind of fitting to be bringing it in again for this little challenge here. I've also brought in the paintbrushes that I got for my pound shop challenge, these two just cheap paintbrushes. I figured they'd be good enough to be doing this little challenge I've set myself here. And I thought maybe the first thing I could do is try and maybe mix up a sort of skin tone going on there with the yellow and the pink. Try mixing that together and see what we end up with, because we do have a sort of ochre golden yellow here that I found when I was swatching and testing all the pens out. We have this kind of ochre yellow here, and I thought maybe if we add a little bit of pink into that, maybe one of the lighter pinks. Let me see, we have this one here. Having to pass around the actual tripod there might look a little bit awkward, but yeah, if we add in this little bit of pink, I was thinking maybe we might be able to come up with a sort of skin tone there, and hopefully we won't get the kind of speckled mottled effect we had going on with the Cute and Creepy book. So yep, it's mixing okay. I think we maybe need to lean a bit more towards the yellow than we are towards the pink, but it might dry a little bit different. And we'll go in and I'm feeling her skin there, see how this dries down. It is just for fun, so I'm not being completely kind of neat and tidy and precious with it. Let's see if we can blend a little bit though. And that's not a bad skin tone. A light skin tone, I don't think. And maybe work on top of that with a little bit of shading with the pencils. I figure maybe using the crayons for her hair My paint strokes are being pretty obvious there, but I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. As I said, it's all for fun. We're just seeing what we can get going on with these old kind of worn out art supplies. But as of yet, we don't seem to be getting that speckle colour, so that's good. So hopefully that should dry to a nice skin tone. I was thinking of maybe bringing the crayons into her hair because we seem to have a lot of blue and green kind of crayons. So I was hoping I could bring those into her hair. I think she may be supposed to be a mermaid because we do have the octopus kind of tentacles going on there. So I'm not quite sure how the bee fits in. But speaking of the bee, we do want some nice bright yellow for our bee. Maybe that is a very bright yellow, so I'm not sure that is actually showing up online. Some bright yellow for the bee, and I'm thinking some light blue just as a base for his wings. I'm going to try not really try hard not to bring in that white gel pen. So we're bringing in the yellow for the bee. I don't think we had a black, so we're going to have to just go over those stripes with a dark grey. Let's see which is the darkest grey we've got here. One of these, I would imagine. One of these would be the darkest greys, I think. So we'll just grab a little bit of that for the stripes on our bumblebee. There might be a black pencil we can shade that with. We're lucky, but we'll just fill in the black bits with this grey. It might kind of mix a bit along the edges, but yeah, bees are kind of fluffy anyway, so I think we'll be able to work with that. There we go. And yeah, I was thinking of doing blue hair, so maybe I shouldn't really put blue on his wings, although if I make it a lot darker around him, I think we could be able to make that work. And I'm not entirely sure what kind of animal we've got going on her head there. Does it look like it should be a bear or a fox? I suppose technically we can choose, we can colour it whatever way we want. Don't really have any orange pens. Dang it. Don't even have any red that we could mix to make orange. Oh, that is slightly annoying. What kind of colour is this yellow? Well, that's quite a bright yellow. Maybe if we mix some pink into that, a little tiny bit of pink, we might be able to come up with an orangey colour and make him into a little fox there. I don't even know if we have any orange colour pencils, to be perfectly honest with you. Let's have a quick check. We do have orange pencil and we have a brown, so we might be able to shade that. Let's maybe see if there's pink. This pink we can mix in to make a kind of orangey colour that's different from her skin tone. That would be the slight problem we would have there. But we do need an orange that is different than the skin tone. We do have an orange pencil, so we might be able to actually get some shading going on there. And this little kind of foxy type creature. It does have antlers though, so it's not a realistic fox. So we do have a little bit of leeway, I think, for our shading and our colouring on this little guy. Maybe whatever kind of creature he is does come in a slightly more yellowy orange colour than a normal fox. I think foxes are kind of, are they white around their nose? I think they are. So we'll leave him a little bit of white there. I'll have to mix up some more colour here. I'm not that great at kind of estimating how much colour I do need, and it's kind of hard to tell when you are diluting pens down anyways. Maybe add a little bit more pink than I did last time, see if we can get something a bit more of an orangier orange. And that's all mixed together. Yeah, that is slightly orangier. So, yeah, we can get over with that. I'll have to mix up some more of that more yellowy kind of colour though to finish off his face, but I'm quite happy with that looking a lot more orange now. Yeah, we do seem to have antlers coming up here. Oh, interesting. Just a little bit of that darker orange there. I'll have to mix up a little bit more of the lighter one. It won't be exactly the same, But yeah, this is for fun. It's not going to be a masterpiece using these old art supplies, so yeah, I'm not worrying super much about matching the colours. Let's just add a little bit of pink to that one and hopefully get something sort of the same. I think that's kind of ish, more of a golden yellow than an orange, but don't have a lighter grey. We might have a lighter grey here. Maybe add a little bit of shading to his nose there. I don't want to go too overboard with the pens because I want to bring in the pencils and the crayons. Try and use everything that was in the tin. Kind of a bit like a pound shop challenge really, except I haven't really got the full range because a lot of the pens had run out. And of course we're using different paper. Last time I tried to use crayons, it was on Amazon paper, so this time I'm hoping the Camilla d'Erico paper is a lot thicker, actually smoother as well, so there might not be as much grain for the crayons to have to actually blend that in. There we go. Something similar. I might end up cheating and bringing in the white gel pen there a little bit for the fur texture, but yeah, that's okay, I think. Okay, how are we doing now? We need to bring in some of the darker grey because the fox has black on the tips of his ears, I think. If I'm remembering correctly, although as usual I'm not really pulling up any reference images. This isn't a serious, completely serious colouring that I want to be exactly right, so I'm not too bothered about bringing up reference images here. There's a black pencil we can bring in there. I'm not entirely sure if the fur inside their ears is white. I think it might be, so we'll shade that with the light grey. And even if it isn't on real foxes, this isn't a real fox, so the fur inside his ears can be white if I want it to be right. There we go. That's looking okay, I think. Alright, the rest of our colours. We do have a kind of frilly kind of bit of fabric there. We have antlers to sort out. There is a brown, so I might be able to bring this brown in. We do have a brown here. Among our pens that work, I'm running out of space. Running out of space in my little palette. I might have to clean out a little slot or two. And maybe if we dilute this brown quite a lot, we'll be able to add some shade to these kind of antler bits here. Not entirely sure what colour to do that octopus, because I know there's going to be quite a bit of contrast going on here if we have the blue hair and the orange fox, and I don't really want to be clashing with either of those colours. I want the bee to be the only kind of bright yellow. I usually just think as I go, figure out what goes with what. It's kind of tempting to do a pink octopus, but I'm not entirely sure how that would work with the orange. We do have that kind of fuchsia purple. That might be interesting. Yeah, my heart's telling me to go for the purple octopus, this kind of fuchsia purple. We do have one slot left on our palette there. So let's see. Don't know how much ink is left in this one. I did put it in my pile of pens at work, so hopefully there's quite a bit. Oh yeah, this is a nice colour. Hopefully this won't clash too much with that orange we've got going on there. Our light's coming from, yeah, my usual left. So, oh, what colour little suckers is he going to have? I think I've done one octopus already in this book, and that was pink as well. I seem to have a thing for pink octopuses. Octopi? Oh, on camera still. Yeah, I'll zoom in slightly when we do the pencil and the crayon, but for an overview of kind of the basing, kind of watercolour basing with these pens. I have no idea how good these pencils are. As I said, probably not the best. These are his very old crayons and pens. I did buy him some Castle Arts pencils when he did when he did go up to big school. So he hasn't really used these for years. Yeah, I do like this colour. Maybe we can fade it out to pink. And that'll be quite fun. This is more, it's not really purple, it's more a kind of fuchsia pink, which is nice. I like it. I'd never really tried mixing the pens like that before, scribbling on the plate or palette. Oops, it's going to fall off the table. Scribbling on the plate or palette and mixing them to get different colours, but that does seem to work quite nicely. So my only trouble would be mixing enough, because even with watercolours I'm not very good at actually estimating how much I would need. I think this paper, yeah, it's a lot better than the Amazon paper, so even with the cheap kind of felt pens, we're getting some quite good results there. The watercolour diluting them down. I'm not sure if we should leave this fabric white. I think maybe I need to get her hair coloured first. Should I base her hair and then go on top with crayons? I'm not entirely sure that would work, because we need a darker blue around the actual bee. Okay, we have one last tentacle here. Yeah, it's paper. Yeah, paper is a bit of a game changer, because now we can actually blend out that marker as the watercolour, and we're not getting the speckle effect. So that must just be the cute and creepy. Must be on different paper. Or maybe it was because that was Inktense. We don't know. Maybe I used more water. I do tend to be a bit conservative with my water usually, but maybe I used a bit too much when I was using the Inktense. Okay, shall we go a little bit crazy and give the octopus green suckers? I might go a little bit crazy, give the octopus green suckers. Let's clean out one of these slots here. I'm just playing for fun, so we're going to go ahead and give the octopus the green suckers, just to see how that would work. Then we could keep this fabric kind of white, with maybe a little bit of the light grey, bit of light blue. Let's see. That's fun. We are not realistic. We have a fox with antlers, so we're not realistic. We don't have to do proper octopus colours. Of course you can if you want to. I have no idea what colour octopuses actually are. I seem to like pink ones. Oh, this is the second octopus I've coloured this month. A little bit of a spoiler. And the first one was orange. Although I did start it out pink, to be honest. Yeah, I did start it out pink. Then realised I didn't like it. Went over with yellow and made it orange. Yep, that's fine. Did I do the other one pink and green? Let me check. Oh, pink and yellow. Pink and yellow, my other one. That is with the neon oil pastels. So pink and yellow we had going on for the other one. Pink and green this time. Is that all our tentacles? I think it is. I think we're all pink and green now. Alrighty. Maybe I should go in and colour her hair before I decide on anything else. What colour are her eyes going to be? Oh, we do have her lips still to do. So I've added a little bit more pink into the flesh tone. Something along those lines that can hopefully be tidied up with pencils. Maybe we can shade that. I might have gone a little bit too crazy with my colour there. Maybe we can shade it. And what colour eyes can she have? Maybe the green. The green and the yellow. So, the dark green or slightly darker green in the top. And fade down into the yellow, I'm thinking. Oh, that's better. Just adding a little bit more of the yellow to that lipstick. That's toned it down a little bit. I do have lips, but not quite so bright. Okay, that's fine. We'll go into that with pencil shading. It'll be fine. I'll just clear away all of this kind of paint and brushes and stuff now. We'll move on to doing her hair with the crayons. So just give me a second to tidy up the table. All right, I've zoomed us in now, and you can see I've already been experimenting with her hair a little bit there. And I think this piece here, the one that comes down over her face there, that's the one that's been the most successful. So that's the kind of technique I'm going to carry on. I can adjust this one a little bit, add in a few white highlights, which I was probably going to do anyways, and just carry on and do the rest of her hair using this technique. The 3 blues I ended up using, after I'd pulled out a lot of blues from the tin and actually tested them here, one of which was actually purple, but it did look blue. You do get that with crayons. They do look slightly darker than what they actually draw sometimes. But these 3 blues here are the ones that I've decided to use, which are these 3 crayons here, 3 completely different brands. Yeah, but they are these 3 colours here, the light blue, the kind of mid-tone blue, and the darker desaturated blue. I did originally think about bringing in the black, but I've decided against that now. It seems to be working a lot better if I just keep to those 3 kind of tones of blue. And this part here looks slightly different because that was when I first started experimenting. It wasn't quite going exactly how I wanted it to, but I moved on to this piece that comes over her face here, and I think that's working a lot better. I'm going to bring in the white gel pen for a few highlights, as I was originally planning to do anyways. And I'm going to go ahead and just finish off her hair and using the technique I was using here. And what I was doing, I was originally going in first of all with the darkest kind of desaturated blue and adding in the shadows first, because I don't really want to try and blend the crayons, to be honest with you. Using the burnisher, I did try over here. Using the burnisher does flatten the texture, make it look a lot smoother, but I'm thinking it's maybe working better without. Just letting the crayons do their own thing, leaving the colours nice and bright. But after doing the darkest, I was going in with like the mid-tone around the very edges like that, and then with the lightest coming in where the highlights, kind of white highlights would be, which I am probably going to go back in and work over those with the gel pen. And the crayons are making a lot of dust, which unfortunately has stained her face a little bit. So what I think I'm going to be doing is giving her blue freckles. Yeah, I know, my other picture, my last picture, the colour along I've just done, that one had the freckles as well. But I think I'm going to have to use them as a kind of disguise in this picture to kind of hide the fact that that blue crayon is making a lot of dust, and when I went to brush it away it kind of stained her face. Maybe her face was still a little bit damp. I did try going in with pencils as well to maybe shade her face a little bit. Not entirely sure how well that's working, to be honest with you. So maybe crayons are the way to go. Felt pens and crayons, who'd have known? But the pencils, as they are only kind of kids quality pencils, not the best, not very pigmented, and I was having to press quite hard to get any kind of pigment coming out of them. Plus there's not really many colours that I could be using to shade a face. So if I do go in and use those pencils, that's going to be a lot of improvising, I think. But yeah, with her hair, using these 3 shades of the blue crayon, I was just doing the shadows first, then mid-tone. We're going into the spine of the book here. But again, sticking with the darker blue, kind of desaturated blue, the mid-tone, and the lighter blue. I'm not really concentrating on making the hair strands. As I usually do when I use my pencils, I try and make sure I keep the hair strands sort of visible. But I think these are showing through the crayon. The lines that are drawn are showing through the crayon pretty well. So I might just keep to that and let the line art underneath just come through and show where the strands are, and just let the crayons do their own thing. I think leave a few white highlights that I'll probably come back in with the gel pen. I'm not entirely sure how to do the background for the bee, because I think that's supposed to be like metallic gold. Okay, a little bit of a detour there. I do tend to get distracted while going and wander off and do different areas, but I found this kind of orangey brownish crayon. in the box, and I thought maybe that would work to shade her skin, and that's shading her skin quite nicely actually. That's better than the pencils. So who knows, maybe we'll stick to crayons for this picture. I wonder if there's a pink. Is there a pink crayon? Yeah, there is actually a pink crayon. Let's see. Can we get blushy cheeks? And this would be where the burnisher pencil could come in. And blend that pink in, I'm thinking. A little bit of a pink cheek this side as well. And let's try blending that with the burnisher. Because for our skin we would be wanting more of a smooth kind of finish. So let's try... yeah, that's smoothing that out. Let's maybe try blending that pink in very, very lightly with this kind of orangey brown crayon. No names or numbers. Oh, 18 orange red. I have no idea what brand that is, but it does say orange red. Okay, not too bad. I think we might be having a case of trusting the process here, and it seems to be going through that ugly stage that most pictures go through. You can't quite decide whether you like how they're working or not. I think maybe we do put in the blue freckles. Maybe I should go ahead and do that now. I still have the paint off to the side. We still have some blue marker there dilated on the palette, so I'm going to try. This is the way I usually do freckles. Let's see how that dries. Maybe it won't work, but at least it's covering up the fact that that we did get some blue kind of crayon splotches on there. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing for the background, but I'm thinking that we'll probably need to do something now because we do have splotches around the edges. Bringing in the darker blue pen there to add to the freckles. Okay, maybe I should go on and finish off this hair, but I'll probably get distracted partway through and come back and work on something else. It's the way I usually work, to be honest. Yeah, I kind of get distracted, think of ideas for other places, end up having to come back. But at the moment, yeah, the crayons are working pretty well for the shading, to be honest. She's looking quite good, I think. I'm not sure what we will actually use the pencils for. Maybe we'll be able to do a bit of fur texture on the fox. I did spot an orange pencil in there. I'm trying to keep some shadows around this little bee we've got going on here, because with his wings being that light kind of pen, Waterdale pen blue, we want those to be standing out from all the other blue that's going on around him. Yeah, I do apologise if this turns out to be yet another felt pen and crayons video. I really need to bring in those pencils. Green we can use on these suckers of the octopus maybe. They're just not really very pigmented is the problem. There we go. We have a green we can use on these suckers for the octopus. So it's not just another felt pen and crayon video. This green isn't bad. And once again I'm getting distracted, I do apologise. Doing big areas all the same, it generally makes me want to wander off and do another piece of the picture, which is what I usually end up doing. Like this, I'm supposed to be finishing off her hair, but I've wandered off to do two little tentacles here. I do like the pink and the green working together. Yeah, that green's a pretty good one. Do we have a darker? We have a darker green here. I should really go ahead and swatch all these, but there is a lot of pencils. That would be a lot of swatching. Actually, I have a Crayola green. Okay, there we go. So we can use the greens, the pencils for the tentacles on this octopus. I'll keep these to the side. Make sure I use those for the rest of these little suckers. This is the purple crayon that I picked out when I was looking for blues. And as you can see, it does look pretty blue on that wrapper there, but the crayon itself is actually purple. And I thought maybe we could use it to shade these tentacles a little bit. We have this crayon as well. But, oh, that's, yep, that works. And then wax is giving little kind of bobbles there. A bit of texture coming through that I think is actually working quite well for this octopus. I'm not going to try and smooth that out. We want him to look kind of textured there. Okay, so that's our octopus sorted. Let me get back to colouring the lady's hair. I think we need to get back to that. Finish that off before I get distracted anymore. The hair is pretty much done. Just got this little bit to kind of touch up here. I'm noticing the problem with these crayons. It's only like the second time I've probably used them properly. They do leave a lot of little kind of crumbles. Little tiny bits of wax scattered over the page. A few times when I've tried to brush them off, they've left streaks or marks on the paper, which is a little bit annoying, so I suppose that's something to bear in mind. If you do want to try and use crayons, and it's not something that many people do try and use, but just as a bear in mind. But I think I'm pretty much done with their hair there. So as I did for this tentacle here, I'm going to use a purple and a slightly kind of magenta pink colour to maybe put a little bit of shade on these tentacles up here. Although this one, I think that one kind of shades off into the white there. So we're going to let that fade off into the white a little bit. I quite like the effect we've got going on with that one there. And the texture we've got coming through from the crayons there, kind of rough texture. I think that works for octopus skin. I'm not exactly sure what kind of skin octopuses really have, octopi. I'm not even sure what the plural is. I think it's octopi, isn't it? But I'm not really sure what kind of skin they have, so I'm just kind of playing it by ear, and I think this kind of texture seems to be working, so we'll go with it. I'm thinking of maybe cheating a little bit for the background. I'm not sure if this idea I will actually follow through with, of making some sort of a galaxy effect with maybe the black crayon and a dark blue, and the blue or the dark purple pen. And then, yeah, cheating and bringing in the white gel pen, but I use those all the time. That doesn't count. Everything else I've used, I've gotten out of this old tin. Next we're going to colour all these little sucker pads along these tentacles of the octopus, and the colours I've picked out for that are this kind of unnamed green here, and these two are Crayolas actually. This one you saw earlier when I coloured this little tentacle down here. I actually found a Crayola yellow as well. I think this is lemon yellow. No, it's just called yellow, that one. And I had to sharpen it about 4 or 5 times before it stopped snapping. You can see it's a really old and battered one. That one is from the tin, so I will use that one just as a little bit of a highlight on these little sucker pads. And for those ones I will use this darker green. This is Crayola as well. This one is just called green, probably from a 12 set that my son had when he was younger, but I will just use that one for the darker kind of sections, just to put a little bit of shadow there. This green I was using as the kind of mid-tone. And then the yellow for these kind of highlighted areas here. And with the yellow, I was kind of coming onto the outline of the tentacle as well, just to highlight this edge, the edges closest to the light. Give a little bit of extra colour to that, because this tentacle is kind of fading from the pink, we're fading down into the white, so I thought maybe we'd bring in a bit of the yellow there to show that this one is right at the front. And there we go. I'm going to carry that on for all the rest of the tentacles. Not really being super particular with my shading here. I'm trying to keep it pretty sketchy because, well, mainly because of the materials we're working with. It doesn't really lend itself to perfect blending or shading, and because the style of the illustration itself is pretty sketchy anyway, so it kind of all fits. And using the bright colours kind of matches with the kind of fun tone of Camilla's pictures. They're usually pretty kind of fun and not hyper realistic in any way, so I'm going to carry on colouring these tentacles, just doing these little sucker pads. I'll catch up with you when I'm done. I am pretty much done nearly. There's only that one tentacle there. I think this yellow is matching quite well with the colour of our bee there. That's bringing in the yellow quite nicely, but we will need to go into that bee with a few white highlights, I think. Maybe a bit of darker shading because we've got a little smudge on there where we had some little spots of blue from the crayons, and when I wiped it away it smeared there, so we're going to need to go in and fix him up a little bit. Seeing as he is the reason that I did pick this picture, being my theme for the month, being my theme is bees. There we go, those tentacles are looking okay to me now. And I've been through the pencil tin and I've picked up a couple of oranges. I have no idea how well these will work. They're non-branded. Neither of those are Crayola, unfortunately. But we'll see how well these oranges... Oh, yeah, this one is pretty dark. We might be able to use this one for shading the fox, I'm thinking. Getting some fur texture coming in here. Yeah, I think that's working quite nicely. How does the other one work? The other one is slightly lighter. Interesting. So we can blend these two shades of the pen that we had going on here. Maybe blend those two sort of a bit more together, give a bit more of a fur texture to our little fox. I'm not sure if we have any grey pencils. We do have a black that I've managed to find. It's a tiny little chunky black, but we will be able to use that for the fox's ears. But we could do with a little bit of grey to be going in and shading the inside of his ears there, because I'm not entirely sure what colour fox's ears are. But we have kind of established this is not a realistic fox. He does have antlers, or she does have antlers. So we're not talking super realistic. We can have a little bit of leeway with our colours, I think, and make the inside of those ears white or grey. But at least sticking with the orange for the main kind of fur here to give the idea of a fox, I think, and to give us a nice contrast with the blue hair. I think that's working really nicely. I'm trying to keep this kind of fur looking fairly sketchy. I don't think we've got any dark yellow. We do have a dark yellow. How well does that work? That's barely showing, but it might work to blend this orange a little bit further into that golden yellow we have in the background. It's showing very, very slightly. Maybe not on the camera. My camera doesn't really like yellow too well, but we do have a little bit of the golden yellow blending in our fur there. A little bit of the orange giving us some shading along the outside. We don't seem to have a grey, but what we do have is just some normal drawing pencils, and I thought these were black because they weren't sharpened, and I've just sharpened one and it's actually drawing pencil, so we can maybe blend in that kind of white fur along the edge of his kind of muzzle here. Again, giving a little bit of a fur texture, but not going overboard super much because we're not a super realistic drawing, just trying to make it look as if there might be a little bit of fur going on there. We can come in with a white gel pen, which I probably will, and we'll bring in this pencil inside these ears and try and make some kind of fur going on inside here. And this is the black that I found, teeny tiny little chunky black, but in real life foxes do have black kind of tips to their ears. So we'll blend that down into the orange there, maybe add a little bit in here for a tiny bit of extra shading. I don't really want to go over my colours, my orange and my blue with the black, and dull down the colours. I'm quite liking the bright colours we've got going on. And I want to use a lot more black around the outside, I'm thinking, with that galaxy. I have no idea if it will work, but we're just having fun, so yeah, I think I'm going to try it. Okay, so this is interesting. What I found while looking for some browns there in the tin, and this was actually in the tin, believe it or not, it's a metallic pencil. And this end seems to be gold, and I've had to actually sharpen that with my craft knife because it was snapping every time I tried to sharpen it with the sharpener. That end seems to be gold. That end seems to be kind of a metallic green, so I might keep this one out. But I thought maybe to go behind the bee, I could use this metallic pencil. I'll make this look like he's on a little bit of a golden sort of, I'm not sure if it's a brooch or an earring, some sort of jewellery. He's on this golden jewellery here. So yeah, quite happy with that little find there. That's made life a little bit easier. I honestly did not know that was in there. And I know you guys are just taking my word for it that it was in there, but yeah, honestly it was. I didn't even know that we had metallic pencils in there. But it has solved the little problem of how we're going to colour this gold here. If I bring in the white highlights there, hopefully that will make that look as if it is metallic. I don't usually like to use metallic pencils to colour metal, because they tend to look a little bit dull, I think. Maybe let's bring in that Crayola yellow. We do need to use this black on our actual bee as well. I've gotten distracted from the antlers. This black is not very pigmented. It's definitely a child's black pencil. But yeah, the white gel pen works magic, that we can go in there and sort that out, I think. Add in a few highlights for this jewellery. Maybe go around the bee's wings, make him look as if his wings are nice and delicate there, I think. We are actually getting somewhere now, I'm thinking. Just colour her pupil in there, make that look a bit blacker. Maybe we can shade this bee with the same crayon we used for Our Lady's face. This is orange red. Not entirely sure of the brand, but I'll do a little bit of shading there. And cover our little smudge there. A little white highlights to try and make him look as if he could be furry. Go over the outlines of his wings, maybe. There we go. Looking a bit more like he's meant to look like that now, I think. Give her shine lines in her eyes. And we can add some my usual kind of hair highlights there. We'll add a few kind of fur marks in there as well. I'll give her a highlight around this edge of her face, and this is all like putting off colouring those antlers. I'm putting it off now because yeah, I don't really know how to do that at the moment, so I'm thinking or trying to. Okay, we really need to be colouring these antlers, and I really don't know how to. Do we have a brown crayon? We do have a brown crayon. It's not very pointy, so we'll have to be kind of careful. That's not bad. It's a shame we don't have any lighter brown. We might have to just stick with the brown as a shading for those antlers, I think, and add in some white with the gel pen just to give them a little bit of texture. As usual, I've missed a little bit. There is a little bit of hair here. I'm not entirely sure what kind of colour to do this. This fabric here, I'm not sure if leaving it white would be a bit too bright, and I'm still not entirely decided what I want to do for that background. So what I was thinking of doing for the background, especially around the edges more than anything, is using the pens diluted down with the purple and the dark blue, maybe shading on top of that with the black crayon or the black pencil, and making some sort of a galaxy kind of effect. I'd probably have to make a little bit of a halo around her, I'm thinking. Maybe not have it come quite up to her, unless I really want to go crazy. Or maybe just give her a white outline with the white gel pen to have her stand out. And that might work. Okay, yeah, that's a plan. But I'm still not entirely sure what colour to do that. This fabric here. Yeah, maybe if I did it light blue like those wings. Maybe that would be too much blue if I made it the light blue. Although maybe if I just used the light blue for a little bit of shading. Oh, you're getting treated to my thought process again. If I just used it very, very diluted for a little bit of shading maybe. Let's see. Because it doesn't seem to be see-through. We don't seem to be able to see her hair through it like we can through the wings, so maybe if we make it light blue, and then maybe put a bit of texture on it with the gel pen to make it look as if it's lacy or something. Even try doing that a little bit with the pen, just going a little bit less diluted to give it a little bit of a lacy texture to it. No idea if this would work. Again, no idea if it would work. Just playing around, seeing what we can make happen. And again, the background, I really don't know if that will work. It's going to be a complete experiment. Okay, here'll be the moment of truth. Am I going to actually wreck this picture now? I might need to put some spare paper behind now that I'm going to be going right up to the edge, I think. We do actually have two purples in the pens. Oh yeah, as I'm not showing you. We have this purple here. And we have this purple here, which I'm not entirely sure is a lot different. It's slightly kind of warmer. It's a redder purple, that is. So we'll try using those two. And this is the purpley pink that we actually use for our octopus tentacles. Maybe we can add a few little touches of that. With the kind of galaxy sort of blobby effect. This is the plan. And I'm going to maybe try and go right up to Our Lady. I did say I was going to give her some spare paper, so there's some random spare paper. I'm just going to plop underneath, protect the pages behind. I'm going to try wetting this paper first, because this paper seems to be holding up a lot better than the Amazon paper, and the Amazon paper did not take to being wetted first, so we're going to try. And the paper will buckle, more than likely. And this will not be a very bright galaxy. We're trying to blend into the wet paper with the different shades of purple we got here. They're not looking super different when they're actually down on the page. But these two shades of purple are completely different. One is a lot redder and a warmer colour, and we can bring in the purple from the tentacles, but they get a little less concentrated than we actually used it. I wonder if we should bring in the blue, should we see? Not entirely sure. Oh, I like the effects we're getting there. I do like that. Not sure I like these colours here, but that's fine. We can work them in a little more. Or we could dab them off. Again, all adding to the kind of galaxy effect. A little bit of luck, even these little bits of... We've even got some little bit of crayons kind of trespassing, I suppose, onto there. The colours would be a lot brighter if I didn't wet the paper first, but if I didn't wet the paper first, I think they might be a little bit hard to blend and we wouldn't get these nice kind of edges here. I'm hoping that isn't bleeding through. No, it's not bleeding through, actually. It's not bleeding through, so yeah. I'm thinking maybe we can go with that. Let's see how that blends in. I really don't have any plan at all for this. I'm just trying to see where it would work. The main idea is get a kind of galaxy sort of thing going on. And I think we have here, I think that's worked quite well. I like these kind of brighter pinks, bringing in the pink we use for the tentacles, so I'll add a little bit more there. Okay, we need some behind there if we're going to be giving a sort of a white outline. Somehow we need to have the colour going right up to the lady if we're going to be giving her the white outline, which I think will work quite well. I don't think adding the blue into here really worked well, so I won't be doing that on the other side, I don't think. Stick to the purples. There we go. I'm going to wet the paper down first to maybe get a few of those nice kind of blending effects happening. We do have a few kind of crayon shavings over here, which will probably work its way in and become part of our little galaxy. Yeah, I've gone off camera a couple of times trying to do that, so I will zoom us out a little bit so not so much danger of that. Hopefully not much danger of being off camera now. Although we never know. It's kind of hard to judge. When the camera is far away, it's kind of hard to judge if I am actually on camera or not. I do like what blending we've got going on there. That's worked really well. Sadly, we didn't get that nice effect that we have over the other side. I do love this effect here, but we didn't get that going on in this side. Maybe if we throw some clean water on there, some interesting things might happen. So let's see if we can get some effects going on there. Maybe, maybe not. It is kind of a good thing that if you go over the edge of our hair there, that was done in crayon, so the paint will not stick. Fabric here, so I'm just gonna fill that in with the blue. A little bit darker towards the bottom, make it a little bit of a texture. Hopefully we can make that look a little bit lacy. Wrap the area. And then same again up here. I didn't come very close to the edge with that blue, so we shouldn't be having any colours running together. Having a bit too much fun with it now, I think. This part in here is also going to be the purple, the reddish purple. I don't want to interfere too much over here. We do have some interesting effects coming on there, so I want to leave the colour do its own thing pretty much. Okay, there we go. Shall we see if the original plan would work? I don't know. The original plan was to maybe shade the outside edges with the black crayon a little bit. I'm not sure it will entirely work, but we'll give some darker areas. I'm not sure we entirely need it. Do we have a dark purple crayon? Let's try bringing the purple crayon. I'm not entirely sure that the black is working. I'll try bringing in the purple a little bit to blend it in. Not entirely sure that's working, but we do have a galaxy kind of effect going on in theory, so random patches of colour shouldn't make too much difference. It's not super terrible. And does hopefully add to the kind of galaxy effect that I wanted. So I think while the other side is drying, I will see what we do look like. Giving our lady the white outline. We do have a few wayward strands of hair flying around here, so we're going to have to kind of ignore those, otherwise we're making things a little bit more complicated. And the colour, the purple colour will eventually seep through this white gel pen. But to be expected, not too much of a disappointment. It'll obviously work better with the actual bright white, so as you're seeing it now is how it's meant to be seen. And I suppose it is cheating a tiny little bit to bring in the white gel pen, but yeah, it's a challenge I made up for myself, so I'm allowing myself the gel pen because I kind of always use one now. And a few stars. Maybe I've gone a little too overboard there, but yeah, I kind of like it. And we're going to add the kind of lacy effect to this kind of cloth here. I'll give it an outline, but around the edge of the black line, instead of actually going over the black line, I'm going around the edge of the black line here. Just to hopefully make it look a little bit more lacy and delicate, without making it look see-through like the bee's wings, because that's what, yeah, we don't want that. Slightly damp this side, but I think we're dry enough to go in, do our outline. I could be wrong, but we're gonna try. Should have really gone in with my black and the purple before I did that white outline, but yeah, I got a bit carried away. I was having too much fun there, I think. Yeah, I wish we had some more of that kind of effect going on over this side, but yeah, it's a bit unpredictable. You just got to let the colours do their own thing. Sometimes you get nice effects, sometimes you don't. I think it's all good. It's all kind of combined to give us quite a nice result in the end, I think. Be nice to get the white ink or white gouache paint and spatter some stars in here, but we're going with what's in the tin. Going back in with a little more of the kind of bluish purple there. Looking a little bit light, I think. As our light is meant to be coming from this side, which kind of fits that we've got that nice effect going on, which is totally off the camera, that nice effect there, because our light is coming from that side. So that's quite useful. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with the line art over here, so we've kind of made it up a little bit. It's all good. Alright, I'm going to zoom us out now so we can see all of the picture all together. Okay, there we go, there's the finished image. And I'm pretty pleased with what we managed to come up with, considering what materials we had there to work with. I really liked the way the crayons worked for her hair there. When I didn't kind of try to blend them, I just used them side by side instead of trying to blend them together or use them over the top of each other. I think they worked really well. I love the bright colours. I think using the pens diluted as a base was quite a good idea. That worked really well for mixing that skin tone. I've never really tried mixing them before when I've just used pens on a plate or a palette. I've just used them as is. I haven't really tried to mix any flesh tones, and I think that wasn't bad for maybe a first try. I didn't really do such a good job of mixing the orange for this kind of fox creature, I don't think. But again, he is a fantasy creature, he's not actually a fox, so I think we can maybe get away with that. And all in all, it was really fun to do. It was a little bit of a challenge, but I do love a challenge. And it was really good to get some more practice, I think, with using crayons. I'm starting to get the feel for crayons now, I think. They probably need to be used for quite big chunky pictures with big spaces like this one, where you can let the texture of the crayon kind of show through and do its own thing. They do work a lot better on this paper than they did on the Amazon paper, and as I said, they work a lot better when I don't actively try to blend them so much, just use them as is and add the side of each other just as the pure colours. And just super happy with what we managed to come up with today. Hopefully this has been a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of fun, little bit of a fun experiment for you guys to watch today. If you have enjoyed watching the video, please consider liking and subscribing. Take care everyone, and I'll see you in future videos. Bye!